Okay, hi everybody, this is Chess from Retro Nirvana Gaming. Welcome. This is part 3 of the Super Nintendo 2024 collection. In the first two videos I showed you my consoles and a bunch of cartridges. This is the rest of the cartridges. So before we get started, do me a favor, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below. You'll help the channel grow and you'll see more of our videos. Okay, here we go. First one is Super Game Boy. This is an accessory actually that lets you play Game Boy games on the Super Nintendo. It's a really good one. We have the Game Genie. This is a video game enhancer for Super Nintendo. Lets you play with cheat codes, level selects, all sorts of cool stuff. Next we have the Incredible Hulk. Pretty decent game overall. Haven't played it too much. It's okay. Bust a Move. This is a great puzzle game on the Super Nintendo, made by Taito. We have one of my favorite platformers, and that is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It's kind of a platformer slash beat 'em up game. I love this game. Played it a lot when I was a kid. It's a very, very good game. We have X-Men Mutant Apocalypse. This is one of my favorite Capcom Super Nintendo X-Men games. Fantastic. So good. Music is great. It's challenging. I highly recommend it. While we're still on superheroes, we have Captain America and the Avengers. This one is an old school co-op beat 'em up. It is so much fun to play. This one is super awesome. You can play as Captain America, Vision, Hawkeye, and there's one other in there. Anyway, 4 different heroes you can play as. Music is really good. I highly recommend that game. Mario All-Stars. This is a game I rented many, many times from Blockbuster. It has 4 classics on there, and it's super, super fun. I definitely highly recommend that one. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. This is a game I have the box for since I was a kid. It is a fantastic version of that game, of Street Fighter. We also have Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. This is quite the scuffed version of it, but it is a very good game. It is the best Mortal Kombat game on Super Nintendo by far. The most complete, of course, out of all of them. And there is a whole bunch. Speedy Gonzales, Los Gatos Banditos. This was kind of a budget title I picked up at a convention. You can see this was a Blockbuster rental at one point, which is kind of cool. Adds a little bit of charm to the game. We have Super Baseball 2020. This one is super fun to play. Very futuristic baseball game made by Tradewest, the same people that made Battletoads. I actually love most games from Tradewest, so I do enjoy that one as well. We have Dino City. This is a very quirky little title. We have Karate, the Best of the Best Championship Karate. This was one of the first games I got from Game Exchange. Quite a bit ago. A long time ago now at this point. Very, very long time ago. It was when I first started collecting. Wolverine, Adamantium Rage. This is a newer pickup. LGN title. Not as good as X-Men Mutant Apocalypse, but it's pretty decent still. We have Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Not really into this one. Got it for cheap. Super R-Type. This is a fantastic space shoot 'em up. It's pretty common game, not very valuable, but very fun in terms of gameplay. It's a good one if you're trying to add games to your collection. Pitfall, the Mayan Adventure. This is a lot like Prince of Persia, but obviously more like it's a Pitfall game. So yeah, you basically have to try to survive. It's pretty interesting. You're in the jungle. Family Feud, another Blockbuster rental one. Picked that one up because it was cheap and because we needed it for the collection. Smart Ball. This is a game I rented quite a bit as a kid. It is a platformer where you play as a little ball and you have to try to make it through the world. It's actually pretty good. I like it. Desert Strike. This one is another one of those helicopter games where you destroy stuff. I got this from Goodwill a long time ago now. You can see the label starting to peel. And that will happen on some of these Super Nintendo games because they're like 30 years old at this point. Paperboy 2. Nothing too crazy with that one. Not a big fan of the Paperboy series in general, but it's good to have it for the collection anyway. Draken, not a very good RPG in general. Then we have Stargate. I actually do like this game a lot. Stargate is really cool on Super Nintendo. I remember seeing this in Nintendo Power, and I loved the movie, so I was like, why not? Why don't I try the game? The game is a little bit hard, but it is really cool. If you like the movie Stargate from the 90s, I would say definitely pick it up. Alright, next is Doomsday Warrior. I don't remember this one too much. I believe it's a fighting game, but it could be a beat 'em up. I don't remember. I have to pop it back in and see what it's all about. This is what happens when you have as many games as I do. It's crazy. Claymates. This is a very good platformer game, interplay, and it is all about these animals that are made out of clay, and they can kind of like move around, and you can turn into different animals and all sorts of crazy stuff. Yeah, it's pretty good. I actually like that one. Indiana Jones and the Greatest Adventures. This one has gone up in price since I picked it up, especially because I think the Xbox game just came out, so I think people like Indiana Jones games right now. UN Squadron. This is a classic side-scrolling shmup by Capcom. A lot of people have a lot of good things to say about this game. I've played it a bunch of times and I do enjoy it. I think it's a good one. Alright, now the sequel that doesn't get a lot of love, and that is ActRaiser 2. This one is a lot harder than the first one. I can barely get past like the third level in this. This one is much, much harder. I do enjoy the first one quite a bit, so of course I had to have the second one as well. It's an Enix title. I love Enix, so I had to get that as well. Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie's Double Trouble. Fantastic game in the Donkey Kong series. This was the last installment on the Super Nintendo. And graphics are great. This one is, very late on in the Super Nintendo life cycle, but it is a very, very good first-party Nintendo game. Mario is Missing. Educational software is all I can say. I think when I was a kid, I rented this and I was like, oh, it's going to be another cool Mario game. No, this is an educational game. So it's kind of there to trick you into buying it, but yeah, not my favorite game when I was a kid. I was a little bit salty about being deceived by what that game was, but oh well. T2. These Terminator games are not great, honestly. They're okay, but yeah, this one is not so great for LJN title. And then this looks like the back needs a good cleaning, because wow, that thing is... I haven't seen this cartridge in a while, so I need to clean that one. Here's a classic everybody loves. Zombies Ate My Neighbors. This is on the Switch now, along with Ghoul Patrol. This is a fantastic Konami game. Just awesome. Over-the-top view. You play as, I think, 2 different kids. And you have to survive zombies, mummies, all these crazy things. Very arcade-style gameplay. If you haven't played this, check it out. It is awesome. It's definitely a classic hit on Super Nintendo. Alright, King of Monsters 2. If you like arcade beat-em-ups or fighting games, pick that one up. It's kind of like fighting monster against monster. Lemmings, good like platform or puzzle game. If you like this one, it's mostly pretty cheap. Sunsoft, pretty good game. Total Carnage. I believe this is a twin-stick shooter, but I have to remember what this game is all about. I gotta pop this one back in. But yeah, I have that one. Total Carnage. Of course, we have the Dark Souls on the Super Nintendo. Apparently, people keep referring it to Lion King as the Dark Souls of Super Nintendo. It is hard, but it's not as hard as Dark Souls, I think. I mean, when I was a kid, I got almost through the entire game. But yeah, there's a level with the giraffes. That one is difficult. I'm still getting stuck on that. I have to go back and try to remember how you beat that part. It's a puzzle with the giraffes where you get thrown around as Simba. King of the Monsters. This is the first one. Pretty decent game. It's a little bit of fun. It's not a huge amount of gameplay in there, but it's not bad. Alright, next we have Michael Jordan and the Windy City. This one is a pretty cool 90s game if you liked Michael Jordan. And this one is a platformer where you're basically rescuing other NBA players and making hoops. Then we have another awesome 90s game called Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger. So this one is based off of the movie, Sony ImageSoft, and I prefer True Lies. This one I don't think reviewed too well. I don't think a lot of people like Last Action Hero on Super Nintendo, but overall it's not bad to have in the collection. Stunt Race FX. This is a game that was pretty revolutionary back in the day. As you can see on the teeth, this used a special FX chip to render 3D on a console that's only 16-bit. That's actually kind of miraculous. Next is Mortal Kombat Falcon's Revenge. This one is another Super Scope title. Pretty decent overall, but I would say unless you have the Super Scope, avoid it. Street Sports Jam It. This one I did not like. I thought it was going to be a little bit more like Looney Tunes basketball, but it was not too great overall. Alright, a game everybody should have. This is my wife's copy, Mario Paint. So if you have the mouse and... yeah, if you have the mouse and the mouse pad, you can actually play Mario Paint. This is a classic. If you love Super Nintendo, if you can get a hold of the mouse and the mouse pad, try it. It's actually really fun. The Fly Swatter game is fun. The music making game is fun. Now the game with the worst label I have, and that is Maui Mallard in Cold Shadow. Yes, when I bought this, it had the sticker right on it. Other than that, it looks pretty good. I just don't want to take the sticker off because it's going to rip the label, and that is a big no-no when it comes to Super Nintendo collecting. So Maui Mallard, that's a pretty good one. Very good graphics, fun game, good platformer. Next is a game I rented a bunch of times from Stop and Shop Video and Blockbuster, and that is Krusty's Super Fun House. It's a puzzle platformer where you play as Bart Simpson, and there's a whole bunch of rats and a whole bunch of wacky stuff happening in Krusty's Super Fun House. It's a good one. I remember playing that one a lot back in the day, and I thought it was pretty fun. Earth Defense Force, pretty good. Shoot 'em up, pretty fun, pretty solid overall. Gotta have that one. NBA Jam, this one was all the rage in the 90s. People loved playing the arcade machines, and then of course had to have it on the Super Nintendo back in the day. We have Flashback Quest for Identity. I gotta play this one. I don't remember what's going on in this game. So yeah, I gotta pop that one in and take a look again. Super Bases Loaded, very solid baseball game on the Super Nintendo, very cheap. I think they have 3 of these games. I just have the first one, as far as I remember. Alright, next is Rival Turf. This is another beat 'em up, 2-player action beat 'em up. Check this one out. It's actually not as bad as it looks. I mean, the cover art looks pretty stupid, but it's actually a pretty decent game. So give it a chance. Alright, Tasmania. This one is a little platformer, nothing too crazy, mostly budget title, mostly filler. Next is a game that I played a lot as a kid. This a game that my brother had back in the day, Bart's Nightmare, The Simpsons Bart's Nightmare. This one is very fun. You have to basically collect papers so Bart wakes up with a better grade. So the more papers you get, the better you do in school. And so he's in a nightmare. There's a bunch of different stages. Each stage you can get, I think, 2 papers. And there's some really crazy ones like Homer as Godzilla, and yeah, there's Bart plays as Indiana Jones. It's very wacky, but it's kind of difficult. All right, next is Wise Wanderers from the Wise. Yeez, Wise, whatever you want to call it. This one is difficult. I mean, for a first entry in the Wise series, I know there's other ones. The first one I got, I think, was that one. That is a pretty difficult RPG overall. So that one, just be careful. It's difficult. So if you buy it, you might be a little frustrated. Okay, next is Aquatic Games. Yes, Super Aquatic Games starring the Aquabats. So this one was kind of intriguing to me. I picked it up. It is very weird. Next is Art of Fighting. This is another pretty classic Super Nintendo fighting game, tournament fighting game. I like it. It's not as good as some of the other ones. Killer Instinct, Mortal Kombat, there's a lot of other good ones on there. Art of Fighting is okay. Ultima, The False Prophet. I actually bought this, tried it, and I was like, you know what? I don't even like these games that much. It's not really my type of RPG. I have ones I like. This one is not one that I very much like. Okay, next is Yoshi's Cookie. This is a very solid puzzle game, starring Yoshi, of course, and a lot of bakery goods. I say pick it up. It's a pretty cheap game overall. I actually do have the box for that, and this is actually made by Bulletproof Software, one of the companies that I think made Tetris and some other really awesome puzzle games. So it's very good. Super Return of the Jedi. I have all 3 of these games in the Star Wars series. I think this is the only one I don't have the box for. But yeah, this one's cool. Music's good. It's up there with the other 3. It's pretty solid overall. Alright, we got Pinocchio. I actually do have the, not for resale, I have the display only box for this one. So Pinocchio, this is a really good one. I do enjoy playing these Disney games on Super Nintendo. Back then, they did a really good job of making these games, and they're very close to the movies. So yeah, that's a really good one. I do love Pinocchio in general. I love watching the movies and everything Pinocchio. Bubsy. This is a game that gets a lot of hate, and it's not terrible. The graphics are pretty good overall. It's not a bad game in general. I do have a couple of them on the Genesis, and so yeah, I was like, you know what? It's not as bad as it looks. So there's a lot of bad platformer games back in the day. Bubsy's okay. I would rate it like a C. It's okay. It's not great. Okay, next is Separation Anxiety, another Spider-Man game. This one is similar to Maximum Carnage, only a little different. But yeah, this one's not too bad. I'd say this one is probably my second favorite, besides obviously Maximum Carnage is still going to always be my favorite. And this one's not bad. I would say pick it up if you like Spider-Man games. Alright, next is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the Fighting Edition. So this one feels like playing King of Monsters, but with Power Rangers. So basically, you're playing as the Zords, you're playing as all those bad guys, and you're fighting it out on a gigantic platform. Yeah, it's a pretty good one. I like it. The music's good. Lagoon, Super Nintendo JRPG, made by Kemco. This one's okay. I would say it's in the kind of C tier of RPGs. Young Merlin, same thing. This one is another one for the Super Nintendo collection. It's, I would say, in the C tier for JRPGs. It's not great. It's just okay. Now here comes a game I absolutely love, and that is the first Earthworm Jim game. Man, when I first played this, I was like, what a weird game. I mean, you're launching cows, you're launching refrigerators, you're shooting at like all sorts of weird stuff. There's crows trying to peck at you because you play as a anthropomorphic worm in a spacesuit. Yeah, this one is amazing. I love this game. I always get stuck at the level with the submarine. And What the Heck is a really cool level too, where you're basically in hell. Star Fox. This one is a game that I also had back in the day. I love Star Fox. I love the entire franchise. Obviously started with the Super FX chip. It's probably the first game that had the Super FX chip, and I was blown away back in the day. And then when the 64 one came out, I was counting down the days with my brother. We were watching the VHS tape. I've always been a huge Star Fox fan since the first day it came out. Mortal Kombat 2. This is the game that was all the rage for me in the 90s. All the blood, all the guts, all the fatalities, all the friendships, and all that cool stuff. I remember some of these fatalities just being super, super awesome. This is a game I played in the arcade. I mean, I give this game a 10 out of 10. It is just my favorite Mortal Kombat game. And one of my friends had this game. I went over and I was hooked. And him and I were just playing that all the time. It is a great game. That is actually my wife's copy of the game. Alright, so next we have Spider-Man, X-Men, Arcade's Revenge. This one is not great. It is difficult, and also it didn't review very well in general. It's a cheap game. I think I paid like $4 for it, so it's not bad though to have in the collection. If you're bored or you want something to play for a few minutes, that's not a bad game to play. Okay, Roadrunners Death Valley Rally. This is I got this at the same flea market that I got Mega Man Soccer. It's a pretty cheap game. In terms of like gameplay, it's kind of wacky. Next we have Super Tennis. This is a launch title for Super Nintendo. It's actually a really great tennis game. It's fun. It almost plays a little bit like Wii Sports, but in Super Nintendo form. Yeah, it's not super realistic, but it's fun. It's just a fun little arcade tennis game. Super Smash TV. This is a really good one. I mean, if you like these kind of dungeon exploring games, this is kind of what this is. It's kind of like you're on a TV show in the 80s, I believe, or maybe it's in the future, I don't quite remember. And you're trying to survive, and you have all these guns, and you go from room to room. You can go up, you can go to the right, down, or left, and it becomes progressively harder. You get more money. It has these wacky announcers. Yeah, this is a cool one. I love this one. This is a classic, absolute classic. Speaking of classics, here's another awesome one, Joe and Mac. This is the original caveman game for Super Nintendo. It's the first one. There's another second one, I think that where they're lost in the tropics. Data East. A very solid game, I would say. Definitely awesome. I like that one a lot. Super Ninja Boy. Oh yeah, this is a weird one. I like this game. It's kind of like a platformer. I think you could play this 2 players, but I don't remember quite. I don't exactly remember at this point. All I remember is it's solid and it's fun. It's very good. So yeah, Super Ninja Boy. Then we have another caveman game, Chuck Rock. So this is Chuck Rock. This is, I think, single player only. Versus playing Joe and Mac, I think, is... That one might also be just 1 player. But for some reason, I think Joe and Mac might be 2 player. Anyway, Chuck Rock. Pretty decent platformer. Kind of reminds me of Bonk on the TurboGrafx, and obviously Bonk is way more expensive on Super Nintendo. It's like a $60 game. This one's probably like around $10 or $15, but it's pretty solid overall. I like it. All right, a game that I asked for Christmas a while ago, or a long time ago when I was a kid, Ren and Stimpy Vidiots. I was hugely into Ren and Stimpy back then, and it's super fun. You play through different episodes of the TV show. There's one with like the dentist and the tooth beavers. And yeah, it's tough. This is a tough platformer. I mean, man, brutal. But I have beaten several levels, and it's classic, wacky Ren and Stimpy fun. It's a good one. Pac-Man 2, The New Adventures. I got this from Goodwill quite a long time ago. I don't remember exactly how good this was. I feel like it was okay, but I need to go back and play it. The original Addams Family game by Ocean. Very good game. I like it. It's fun. It's a good platformer. Has the music from the games. I'd say pick it up. It's usually pretty cheap. Alright, next we have Tom and Jerry. We're almost done. Not doing bad. Tom and Jerry. Good platformer as well. If you like platformers and you like the Tom and Jerry cartoons, this one's pretty good. It's High Tech. Is the maker of it. Alright, then we have the original Mortal Kombat, which I actually do have the box for. We begged my mother to play this, to own this game, because we were playing the second one at my friend's house. This is as teenagers, actually younger teenagers, yeah. Can we play this? Can we play this? Can we get it? Finally, she got us this version. This one has no blood on Super Nintendo, unless I think there might be a cheat code for the blood. But yeah, only like 5 or 6 characters in there only. It's very slow moving. I mean, I remember playing the arcade game as well. The Genesis version is slightly better in general, but I was still happy to have it in the collection, and just to be able to start playing Mortal Kombat is one of those things where you end up becoming Mortal Kombat fans for the rest of your life. Tetris and Dr. Mario. Very solid mashup game where you can basically play as you can play Tetris, you can play Dr. Mario, and I think there might be like a mixed mode in here as well. Yeah, this one's really fun. I gotta say, this one is super fun to play. If you like both of those franchises, I'd say get it. It's a great game. Sim Earth. They had a bunch of these simulator games on Super Nintendo, mostly all sim games. So we had Sim Ant, Sim Earth. There was a Sim City 2000, and I believe there's like a few others as well. Aliens 3. I love the movie. I love Aliens in general, the franchise, and so had to get this game. I love the side-scrolling aspect of this game, and it's a little bit tough, but it's super fun. The music's good. It has that ambiance, and for LJN, it's actually a pretty good game. I'd say in general, it's pretty good. Okay, last game, and that is C2 Judgment Day. Another Clay Fighter game. This one's pretty fun. It's a little bit different than the other one, the first one. And of course, it's a spoof of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So of course they had to make it C2 Judgment Day. The rabbit on there is on the bike with he has a gun and everything, and he has the ammo belt going across. So yeah, this is a very humorous take on Clay Fighter. The game doesn't take itself way too seriously. It's just kind of fun. Okay, so I really hope you guys enjoyed the Super Nintendo collection. That has been all 223 games over 3 videos. If you enjoyed it, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, help the channel grow. I love making these videos. I know not a lot of people watch them at this particular moment, which is fine. I do them mostly because I enjoy showing you guys the collection and showing you all these games and just kind of imparting some knowledge as to the Super Nintendo and what some of these games are all about. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!